Welcome back to Not Your Status Quo. Today we will be discussing the Disney Play MCU limited series. There are two shows that we've already heard about, Loki and Scarlet Witch. And there's a rumor floating around about a Nick Fury show. We can discuss those possibilities and maybe other characters we'd like to see show up on Disney Play. And remember, they'd be in the MCU universe, so they'd be tightly related to the movies.
And Marvel Studios is making these shows, not Marvel Television, so they would be a lot more closely in tune with the movies, where they could maybe build towards the movie, flesh out a lot of more characters for it, or, a theme for an entire phase. We'll talk more about that with the Nick Fury show. And if you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and ring the bell to be notified of future videos.
First, as we discussed, the Loki show. Tom Hiddleston would star, I assume, because it's tightly related with the MCU.
They did say that the MCU stars would be in these shows.
There you go. Proof.
Well, don't take my word for it, but that's what we heard.
Okay. Anyway, so I think it'd be great to show how Loki grew up, around Thor, around the same time when the movies were focused on Thor, maybe. A little background story, or maybe a little in between the movies. I don't know. That's just, I think any of that would be entertaining for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Tom Hiddleston starring in it is enough. That'll get me to watch it. But it could focus on, his side of the story. They had a nice limited series back in 2004 where it kind of talked about Loki's side of everything. And it would be fun to see his side of his deal with Thanos before the Avengers. And, stuff in Thor the Dark World, and his time even ruling as Odin over Asgard. That would be cool. And, I think that would be the best bet for that, but who knows? Maybe he's alive after Avengers 4, and it'll be something after that, another plot that he'll be
cooking
up.
I'm sure he will be alive after Avengers 4. You never know. That's my theory. We'll go over that at a different time. Scarlet Witch is the second show. I don't know if I would, if I had any certain plan about it. I think it would be entertaining. I think Elizabeth Olsen does great in the role. I didn't have any, background story from the comics that I would pick, but I do think it would be entertaining. What do you think?
Well, one part in the comics, and if the Vision does survive after Avengers 4, maybe him and Wanda take a leave of absence, and we find Thomas and William. They're kids from the comics, who, if you follow the comics, because he is an android, she uses her hex powers to kind of create these kids, and it turns out that they are actually part of missing shards of Mephisto. He comes to collect them. They kind of lose the kids. Wanda almost has a nervous breakdown. Agatha Harkness kind of puts up a spell so she doesn't remember any of this. And it could be a mental block since we haven't been introduced to Agatha Harkness yet. And basically, she starts coming unraveled, and that leads into sort of Avengers Disassembled, Darker Than Scarlet, and into the Young Avengers. And if they could weave that into the show, bringing that about where she kind of has, because a lot's happened to her. She lost her brother in Age of Ultron. The Vision was killed in front of her after she killed him. Mm-hmm. And then Thanos took the time, used the time stone to go back and then do it himself. So she's been through a lot. And if something like that happens where she manufactures some kids with her powers and then loses them, all hell could break loose.
A possible Nick Fury show starring Sam Jackson, sold. Anything that Sam Jackson's in, I love it. And he might even get to say mother in this show.
Probably not.
Oh yeah, it's on Disney. If it's on Hulu, yeah, but it's not. We're talking about Disney Play here. So anyway, I think me and Keith agree on this. He has secrets within secrets that they could dive into so many things that that we don't even know about from the movies yet. It could be anything. I don't want to jump into what you're going to say. So go ahead and say it, and we'll talk about it.
Basically, it's all about what he's been doing in the MCU lately, because we've seen him pop up in Age of Ultron, and here and there, and we know he's going to be in Captain Marvel back in the 90s, and the Skrulls are going to be there. So as you know, in Secret Invasion comic book, Elektra dies, and we find out she's actually a Skrull. So Nick Fury kind of goes deep undercover to discover who is actually themselves and who's a Skrull. And that would be a really interesting show to see him investigating all of these heroes to find out, hey, is Tony Stark really Tony Stark? Is
Captain America, Captain America.
yeah, Steve Rogers,
It'd be hard to
Natasha
cover in
Romanoff.
6 episodes, so.
It would be. They would have to hint at certain things, but I mean, I think that'd be a great way to bring in Secret Invasion in Phase 4 if that's the route they're going.
Mm-hmm.
First up for me is Spectrum. For those of you that don't know who she is, she was Captain Marvel in the comics for a while, Photon, Pulsar, and now she's Spectrum. It's basically Monica Rambeau, who we are going to be introduced to her mother, Maria Rambeau, in the Captain Marvel movie. So I think that's a great way to introduce her as a child, and then we can use this Disney Play limited series to know more about her. And, her powers are pretty great. She can turn into different energy forms. Very powerful. We could see her down the line, helping out the Avengers.
And for those of you who didn't know, this is what we would like to see. There's some more characters we'd like to have series so that we can get to know a little bit more from Marvel. Another one we'd like to see, it's already had 2 seasons already, actually, and it's Agent Carter. I really enjoyed her character in everything she's been in. She's been terrific. I think Haley Atwell's a terrific actress. Great job. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see this too, especially how season 2 ended on a cliffhanger. I'd really like to know what happens, Dark matter. They were really digging into a lot of different things, and I feel like this could... I mean, it was one of the better Marvel shows that was out there. I loved it. I would love to see a few more seasons. Another character I would love to see is Nova. We could finally see the destruction of Xandar by Thanos, and with the Nova Corps in shambles, they reach out to young Earthling Richard Rider, and we could see his rise from Nova Centurion to Nova Prime, and maybe not in the first limited series, but we could see maybe in a movie this thing, and he could play a major role in the MCU. Especially if they decide to go forward with Annihilation, with Annihilus coming into the positive matter universe to try to take things over. He was huge in that limited series, and I think it would be a great way to introduce him and get him involved.
What do you say? The reason I like the Nova idea is that's something like they did not show in the movie, and that's something that they could easily, put in there, something that happens simultaneously, and they don't have to create a whole new thing for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with a show, and it would be even more in depth than it would be in the movie. Marvel's Most Wanted. That was going to be a series with Mockingbird and her ex-husband on the run, trying to uncover a conspiracy against them. They did a pilot episode that never aired as a spinoff from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I like. How do you pronounce her name? Adrienne Palicki? Sure, let's go with that.
Sounds good to me.
She's a good actress. She did great on the show. And what do you think?
No, I'm all for this. I was excited when they were talking about this. I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I can't wait for the next season to come out, which isn't coming till after Avengers 4, which hopefully ties in a little bit. And I think Mockingbird's a great character, and I think this platform would be great for a show for her. And I hope Marvel does it. And my final one of the night, Zemo. I would love to see Zemo forming the Thunderbolts, along with Thunderbolt Ross, who obviously is probably pretty teeved off against the Avengers because they broke the Slovakia Accords in Infinity War. And, Zemo could be breaking out the Abomination from the S.H.I.E.L.D. prison. We could get a whole bunch of other villains that are still alive in the MCU. He could bring in the Wrecking Crew. We could introduce Wonder Man
The
Absorbing Man. Absolutely. We could get Wonder Man. So much potential here to build a team. We could get Goliath. So much. I mean, I would really love to see Zemo doing this. I thought they would use post-credit scenes to kind of start forming the Thunderbolts / Masters of Evil. But I think this platform of MCU limited series would be a perfect opportunity to get it all set up prior to a movie.
And they couldn't really, obviously in the MCU they wouldn't use Masters of Evil as a name because each villain obviously doesn't think they're evil. And I think it'd be great to bring Tim Roth back. He has expressed interest in being the Abomination again. So I think that would be really interesting as well. And a couple more. I would like to see a Falcon show, maybe a Hawkeye show. I like both those characters, and they've been very secondary in the movies.
And that is what they said, secondary characters from the MCU, so both of those fit pretty nicely.
Yeah, and I said that when I saw the Falcon in Winter Soldier. I'm like, I would watch a movie about this character. It's very solid.
Anthony Mackie's great. He does great as that. You know, he was great when he showed up in Ant-Man. He's been great in every movie he's been in. I would love to see, 6 hours of Anthony Mackie as Falcon.
Absolutely.